It's September 20th, and this is the first, or I should say the first episode of the Tailgate from Tailgate Sports, brought to you by True Energy. True Energy is your new favorite energy supplement. Unfortunately, our products haven't arrived just yet, but when they do, we'll definitely show you guys our first ever sponsor, True Energy, when they do arrive. But until then, you can learn more about True Energy from tailgatesportsentertainment.com or drinktrue.com. But anyway, this is the first episode of the Tailgate. We did one last week. It was a whole almost hour-long show. And then, unfortunately, Ecamm recorded Dominic's voice clearly perfect. Nothing from me, though. You can see my mouth move and everything like that. You can see my hands moving. No audio, though. But it was a great show.
Yeah, that was our fault.
I mean, yeah.
We should have checked it like 10 minutes in and been like, oh, well, that's not working.
I mean, I was all rattled. I was all rattled and just going off on rants and stuff like that, just in the zone, tunnel vision, and unfortunately didn't think that, oh, maybe something's, not right now, because I should have noticed how the volume bar wasn't really moving for me. But anyway, it was a good show. I mean, you can still hear Dominic's show. You can't hear mine at all because of obvious reasons. But anyway, we're back with what will be the actual first episode of Tailgate. So yeah, Dominic, thank you so much for this show. I'm so glad that we finally have this going on now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about week 3. We're supposed to recap week 2, last one, but lots of things happened. So let's do our first ever recap, starting with week 3. What do you want to talk about first, week 3, Dominic?
How bad is Florida State?
I knew you were going to go.
I was going to start with LSU Auburn, but Syracuse No, not lost. I'm sorry. Syracuse won. And not just by like a small margin. They blew out Florida State. Florida State's offensive line couldn't guard a defensive line of babies. You want to know why? You know who their coach is?
Oh, no. Let me make that sign for you in like the first 2 minutes to break it out. Okay.
Should have never left Oregon. Now look at where he is. They're already trying to buy him out of his contract. Well, the fans are. I'm sorry. I shouldn't just say they are. Mia
Khalifa started a GoFundMe or a crowdsource thing. Already has like I think 5% of its goal. But I mean, I personally think that it's not the best idea to start with the easy target like FSU. I'm not surprised because obviously you're an Oregon fan, but that's kind of low brow to go for like a team that's very struggling, not in a very good spot right now. I think personally, the most surprising thing that I want to talk about from week 3 was how Wisconsin just fell off the rankings. And I get, so like their loss to BYU, obviously BYU was ranked before, now they're 25 in the nation. They're a solid team. And like I've said before, I said this obviously last episode, but no one knows that besides you because you can't hear it. The Mountain West to me is the best conference outside the Power 5. And in some cases, they could be the 5th best because the Pac-12, especially the Pac-12 South, is so weak this year. You could argue that the Mountain West overall is a better conference than the Pac-12. So they're definitely the 6th best conference for sure, if not maybe the 5th one. So I'm not surprised BYU beat them. They played a very good game. They kept it close the entire time. They also obviously had that pretty much walk-off win. Wisconsin. Well, I get, obviously they're going to fall in the rankings. I thought they were going to fall to like 12, 13. But to fall to 18, in my opinion, was ridiculous and unfair to Wisconsin. Wisconsin's not that bad to be 18. Like, if you look at the teams around that area, they look so out of place. You have Michigan out there, you have Oregon out there, you have UCF, and then you have Wisconsin. To me, that makes no sense, especially a team that's very good defensively, a team that was doing so solid until they played BYU. And it wasn't even a blowout loss. It was a very close last-minute loss against a team that is now ranked. So I don't get how you can look at Wisconsin and be like, oh, you're not the 6th best anymore, you're the 18th best. And to put a team that far back, too, especially behind the likes of Virginia Tech and Penn State, which to me, if you told me that Virginia Tech is a better football team than Wisconsin, I think you're insane. But apparently on paper they are now because that's what they're ranked as. But
I'm going to be honest with you. I disagree with that. I think Virginia Tech is a better football team.
They're good. They're not that good, though. And again,
yes,
is UCF better than Wisconsin? I don't think so. Is Mississippi State better than Wisconsin? I don't think so at all. But to put a team that far back, it's one thing to put a team at 12 or 13, which is where they should be. Because you could put a team that far back within the top 15, they could work their way back up. Obviously, enough time left. They have 10 more weeks, or 9 more weeks, I should say, in college football. They could easily get back up into the top 7. But to put a team in the 18, or close to the 20s, is pretty much saying like your season's over. Like for them to get back to where they were is going to take a whole season worth of hard work and insane wins, especially in the Big Ten, like impressive wins too. And they probably won't get into the College World Playoff anymore. Like the committee might have just ended Wisconsin's season with that one decision to put them that far back. I think to me, that was the biggest shocker and the biggest thing to take away from week 3 is that the committee was so unfair. I'm not even a Wisconsin fan. I think they were just so unfair and unjust to the Wisconsin Badgers, and that they should be at worst the 14 or 15 best team in the nation right now, not the 18.
Yeah, now I think personally they're gonna have to either win out or they're gonna have some top ranking football teams suffer not like close losses to close teams, but either bad losses or blowout losses to good teams. They're gonna need help to try to fight back up. But I also think what's more disappointing than their ranking is their offense. Their quarterback was going to be improved. They do have Jonathan Taylor, who's rushed for 250 plus yards in his week 2 game, but he can't do it all. Once you go down, you need your quarterback. In Hornibrook, he hasn't been doing what he was supposed to do this year.
True, and like I've always looked at Wisconsin as a defensively strong team. I didn't look at them more of an offensive team. I think of Oklahoma as the offensive team in the top 10, or at least as a team that's competing against the top 4 right now. But I didn't really like view Wisconsin as like a team that's
Yeah.
like an offensive threat. But I still think that they're just so out of place as number 18 in the nation. They should definitely be in the top 15 right now. But yeah, like I just think that like their season's now over now because of a terrible choice collectively by the committee. And I think what I mentioned too from last week is I really can't tell if Arizona State's good or not. And that's like not to bash on them. That's like I've been obviously it's hard to kind of get a read on teams in the first 2 weeks. Some teams you can tell now are good or bad. Like we know for a fact that Georgia's a very good team and Bama's a very good team. We know for a fact New
Yeah.
Mexico State is a terrible team. Like these are things that are finite things we know now. But watching Arizona State, I really can't tell if they're a contender or not for the Pac-12 title because it's like the first 2 weeks they played very good, especially against Michigan State. And like I made this comment earlier where like Michigan State, in my opinion, was overrated going into the season. I thought that they were ranked a little too high and that they
Yeah, but
probably
they're
wouldn't be that
still a
good.
great team.
Yeah, and again, they played against Arizona State in Arizona when it was 108 degrees at kickoff. So I mean, like for any team, even if you're from Arizona, that's insanely crazy conditions to play football in. But at the same time, I really can't tell if Arizona State's good or not because some weeks their defense looks great, limiting the opposing offense to 65 yards the entire game. And then they play San Diego State last week, again, a Mountain West team who obviously is insanely good this year, should be ranked in my opinion. But they let up over 300 offensive yards to San Diego State the week after letting up only 65 to the 15th best team in the nation. So it's like I don't know because I think some weeks you do have Arizona State offense playing well like they did last week. Other weeks they play terrible like the week before against Michigan State. So I really can't get a read on them. I think Herm Edwards is a great coach. I just don't know if this team is legit or not yet, and we probably won't know until like week 8 or something.
Yeah, what I think about Arizona State is they need to start getting a consistent running attack. They've been very inconsistent. Another thing is their quarterback Manny Wilkins. He's very inconsistent at throwing the ball deep. He has a big arm, but he's not accurate enough deep. He's just throwing it and overthrowing his wide receivers. I think if they work out the kinks, they'll definitely be a contender.
Definitely, I think a strong secondary is going to just absolutely destroy them. I think that the fact that he's going for like long passes, the fact that he's not accurate, if he plays against a good secondary,
Yeah, they
especially
do have the number one wide receiver in the nation.
I do get that, and he is very talented. I was watching him play against Michigan State, and he's a very talented wide receiver. But one bad overthrow against a very good, solid defense, especially a good passing defense, and that could result in a terrible loss for Arizona State. So it's like, again, like I don't know if they'd be good or not. They could easily be the team that gets good, like gets like a solid ranking, and then has one terrible loss filled with just mistakes on both sides of the ball. Like not even them playing. Well, I guess we'd be playing bad. Like not even them playing as a bad team, but just making bad decisions on the field, playing like not in a smart way in the field that could result in them losing like any chance of the season going well. I think they'll still be
Yeah.
a bowl game contender. Like they'll definitely play in some kind of weird like like sponsored like Tostitos Bowl kind of thing. But I mean, like I don't see them. As of right now, I don't see them being as good as I thought they were going to be 2 weeks ago. Like I mean, I'm still on the fence about it. Like again, like I said, I probably won't know until week 8. But I think
Yeah,
after
don't
what
tell
I've
me as
seen
good as my team, Colorado.
against the Colorado Buffaloes, but anyway, I just feel like they're
Let's
just
go, Buffs. They're
so
going all the way. They're beating Bama. We want Bama.
we want we want all the smoke. Let's go, bring on Bama. But anyway, I feel like they're just so inconsistent and so fluctuant that I can't tell if they're good or bad yet. But I feel like the fact they're so inconsistent, especially what you said too with their passing game, that it's going to lead
Yeah.
to them having terrible losses. Like if you're not spot on the team you are every single week, a good team every single week, I feel like you're just not going to get anywhere past like maybe like 19th best in the nation. I feel like that's like the best you can get because eventually you're going to have those terrible losses, which would be at your fault only. So, but again, I'm still kind of excited to see how it turns out. You could see Herm Edwards, really kind of like straighten things up and really get this team to be the
Yeah,
Pac-12 South champions. They're obviously doing a lot better than I thought
they
they were
were
going to be at this
terrible
point.
last year.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
used to make fun of them all the time.
Yeah, no, they were god awful. So the fact that they are here already is very impressive, and Herm Edwards has already earned his stay in
Yeah.
Arizona State for sure. It's just like I can't tell if I should be nervous when they come to Boulder in 2 weeks, or if I should be like, oh, 5-0, here we come. You know what I'm saying?
Nah,
So
you should already be nervous.
be nervous.
I
Anyway,
don't care.
any other games you want to talk about from
I
week 3 at
watched
all?
you be nervous against
Okay, that was
Nebraska.
different. Adrian Martinez is like a godlike quarterback, and I was terrified for my life the entire game. That was the scariest football game I've ever watched in my entire life. That's including Super Bowls. That's including like any team I've ever like had for like fantasy football or DraftKings, whatever. That was the scariest moment of my life. Was that those 4 quarters from kickoff until that final play where Bunch overthrew the end zone like it was no one's business. That was just the most terrifying like few hours of my life for sure. Anyway, any other games from week 3 you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think one more. I was gonna start with this, but I want to throw a jab at Willie Taggart. So I
Again,
want to
you
talk about
already.
LSU at Auburn.
All right, go for it. Go for
What?
it. Go for it.
What?
I'm just saying, like your
I
first,
throw
no,
another
your
one in
your
there.
first like few words on the tailgate ever, where it's just like Willie Taggart's trash out the sign, and now the second time you get to talk, you're going back to FSU. Like Dominic, like they're already, they're
No, 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 no,
already
no. I was
dead.
just saying. I was gonna start. I was gonna start the rundown show with this, but I wanted
It's
to
called the
wait
tail.
till
It's
the
called the
end.
tailgate, Dominic. It's your
LSU
own
at
show. Like
Auburn.
learn the name of it. It's called the tailgate, dude.
I'm sorry,
It's called.
tailgate.
Don't even know the name of your own show. Jesus. You helped
I'm
pick the name.
sorry.
I said you like this name. You're like, yeah, let's do it. You already forgot it. It's been like
I
maybe like
panicked. I couldn't
7 minutes.
remember the
You
name.
can It's been like 8 minutes, Dominic. Anyway, go off about your Willie Taggart rant.
Now, LSU at Auburn. That was a
Okay.
great game.
Yeah.
LSU ended up pulling it out, 122-21. LSU's quarterback. He's playing better than they have the last two quarterbacks the past 2 years. He still wasn't good in the first 3 quarters. The fourth quarter, he was good when he had to be, but I still need to see more improvement in order for them to make it to the playoffs. To win these big games, I need more out of them.
Yeah, I
But
believe it.
their defense is so good.
No, I agree. You can't just scrape by with these last minute 1 point wins. You got to be like Oklahoma, who's blowing out teams by 20, 30, 40 points in some cases. I first of all was very impressed by LSU because last week I picked Auburn. The reason for that is because I viewed Auburn as
I
just like
picked LSU because I'm good.
okay, all right. Well, anyway, I'm good. What's the name of your show? Oh, I forget. Anyway, so I picked Auburn because I thought that Auburn was this giant killer, this team that's just going to go and face top 10 opponents and just come out victorious every single time. They played well against Washington, and Washington is still a very good team, in my opinion. They've gotten a lot better over 3 weeks. So I think that the fact that Auburn beat them early on was really good. I also feel bad for Auburn because they've faced such a insanely hard
Yeah.
schedule so far. Like they were the 9th seed, played the 6th seed, then they
It's
were the
only gonna
6th
get
seed, played the
worse.
12th seed. I know, yeah, it literally is only getting worse for them because they're in the SEC, which this is one of my hot takes, or part of my hot takes. It's like one half of it. The SEC is the best conference this year in football and is so insanely spread out. Like teams across the board are good. It's not like last year I was saying it was just, Georgia and Bama. That was pretty much it. This year, Kentucky's good. Tennessee is very solid.
Yeah.
Missouri has one of the best quarterbacks in the entire nation. Ole Miss has the best wide receiver core in the entire, I mean, they have terrible defense, but they have the best wide receiver core in the entire nation. Obviously, Auburn's good. Bama's best team. Georgia's second best team. It's like you have an insanely deep
And then we're
SEC.
not going to talk about Arkansas
Yeah, well, yeah,
because they're
Arkansas's
terrible.
trash. But then Vanderbilt, dude, like Vanderbilt's just okay, but their mentality is like we're gonna go to work, put our hard hats on, and we're gonna beat the team that's ahead of us. Like,
No, no, no. Vanderbilt's pretty good.
yeah, I kind of hyped them up in a weird way. Like I was trying to say that they have a great mentality and they're a good team. There's so many good teams in the SEC that like every single week's a battle. If you're an SEC team, there's no unless you're playing Arkansas, there's no easy week. Even Florida's a decent team this year
Unless
too.
you play Arkansas.
Yeah, well, yeah, Arkansas is trash, but I mean, you have to have at least one trash team in your conference. You can't have all good teams. Speaking of that, Mountain West, fantastic, and there's Colorado
Yeah.
State down here, who's terrible. But anyway, like there's so many good teams in the SEC that like there's no such thing as an easy win for them. So the fact that LSU, sorry, the fact that Auburn had that insanely hard schedule for the first 3 weeks when everyone else is playing like Furman or whatever Clemson played, and like Southern Utah,
Yeah.
they're out here playing LSU and Washington. Like I feel so bad for them because like they're having just an uphill battle every single week. So I thought that was going to get them seasoned to play good teams like LSU. I thought that was going to make them a giant killer, but it was like I wouldn't say the exact opposite, but they definitely were outplayed for sure by LSU. Auburn to me is a very impressive team. I think they're going to win the Iron Bowl against Alabama. I think they're going to be a very solid team this whole year, but LSU definitely was the better team, and I'm happy LSU won because to me LSU has a very passionate coach in Coach O, a very passionate coach in Coach O. That was hard to say. Very solid
Yeah,
defense.
he's my favorite, one of my favorite coaches.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that they could make a very strong case of winning the SEC championship this year. So like, I'm glad they won. I kind of wish Auburn won. Out of nowhere, man. Okay, I'm glad that I'm sorry. I'm glad. I wish Auburn won. I'm glad LSU won. But I personally think that LSU is going to be a strong contender. That whole game was fantastic. I just really hope that Auburn can keep getting solid wins and keep proving to the nation that they really are a very good team and that they're just in the
LSU
hardest
is
schedule in the
actually
entire
one of my
nation.
hot takes coming up. So,
Okay. Anything else you want to recap week 3? I went on like a very, very like weird tangent just then. It's my bad. But anything else you want to talk about for week
nah,
3?
I think that's good. I think week 3 we learned a lot from a lot of teams. I'm looking forward to week 4 though, because we're gonna learn even more since some of the games were canceled by the hurricane.
Yeah. We're gonna learn like a lot more about the Pac-12, which is huge because again, like some teams in the Pac-12 North look great, other teams don't, and we're gonna find out this week for sure. So, since we're a very DIY company and show, this is our schedule for the tailgate today. If we had like the budget and the tech savviness to have an actual scrolling thing, we would do that, but we don't right now. I mean, it makes us kind of very, like I said, DIY, very relatable. But next thing up, Heisman watch. All right, Dominic, I think I have an idea of who you're gonna say, but who right now are your top contenders for the Heisman? I know it's early. I know it's early with going to week 4, but who are your contenders?
My contenders are Tua for
Hmm.
Alabama, obviously.
Yep.
Then I got Kyler Murray. I love him from Oklahoma. I don't think people are watching him enough. I think he's up there, possibly number 1. Will Greer. And then I think you got to also, even though Jonathan Taylor didn't really have that great of a week, I think he's still kind of up there for Wisconsin.
Sure, I
So those
believe
are
it.
really my top 4 right now.
Nice. If you had to pick one to win it all, who would it be right now?
Right now, give it to Kyler Murray.
I agree. I agree
Give
for
it to
sure.
Kyler Murray. I think he's done way more impressive stuff than Tua. I'm sorry.
I believe it for sure. Personally, I definitely have Kyler Murray like you as well. I think that he probably win it if it was tomorrow. He went tomorrow just because Oklahoma is the best, in my opinion. Well, I would say Georgia's up there too, but I think that Oklahoma might be the best offensive team in the entire nation, and he's the reason why.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Have you seen what Alabama's done?
No, like I'm saying, Alabama and Georgia are very good teams, and obviously Georgia against South Carolina was unstoppable, like literally
All right, because
unstoppable
I didn't hear
offense
you say
wise.
Alabama, and I was shook.
Oh yeah, so
I was like,
Alabama.
is this a hot take?
Okay, Alabama and Georgia, definitely very good teams. I mean, Alabama, everyone knows this. Like, they have Tua and they have the second best wide receiver core in the entire nation. Like, obviously, they're a very good offensive
Yeah.
team. No one's going to deny that. No one has watched them play and be like, oh, they're trash in offense. They're fantastic. But Oklahoma just has dominated and they played real teams. I don't care what you say about Alabama. The first 2 teams they played
Facts.
this season, absolutely trash. And that's all Nick Saban's fault for booking those 2 terrible games. But anyway, to me, it's the most bullshit thing in the entire college football like season is that
I
Alabama
hate when teams
Alabama
make
gets these
such soft
passes, and
schedules.
this is like your really Tiger rant is me with Alabama's schedule. They get away with murder booking these trash teams no one's ever even heard about before. No one's ever going to watch after they play them. It's the most bullshit thing in college football that Alabama gets to play these 2 terrible teams first week, especially when Auburn, their rival, has to play 2 of the best teams in the nation. They're off playing like Alabama, A&M, State, whatever, dude. Like trash teams that I don't even care
Arkansas
about.
State.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, they played Ark State, but still, like Ark State's gonna do nothing this year. They're not a good team
Yeah.
this year. So like that
Whoa,
was
whoa, whoa.
a pushover win.
Don't disrespect
Alabama.
Arkansas
It
State.
was just a way to guarantee that they would have at least 2 wins to start the season. Like it's if they had to play, let's say they had to play like Stanford first week, like Auburn to play Washington, they probably would have at least some weaknesses exposed early on instead of them playing Ark State and just getting a rollover like it's nothing. But anyway, I think that because Oklahoma has played a better schedule and just absolutely just dominated offensive wise, Kyler Murray will win the Heisman tomorrow. I think that Tua also obviously is a contender as well. That's pretty much a widespread kind of theory is that Tua definitely is a favorite to win the Heisman. I think that Drew Lock from Missouri should definitely up there too because Missouri really outside of him
Oh,
is
yeah,
like
yeah.
they're good but they're not that good. It really is Drew Lock just carrying the Missouri team to be a good team this year.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, obviously this is going to sound biased, but Laviska Shenault Jr. from Colorado. He is right now the number one wide receiver in the country. I mean, obviously, I forget the guy's name from Arizona State. Very talented, definitely having great games. But Laviska,
Nikhil Harry.
exactly. I know he's like from like somewhere in like Central America, stuff like that. Like he has a crazy story, but he moved from like one of those like countries to like Arizona and stuff like that. Like his story is fantastic, but I always forget his name and stuff like that, unfortunately. But Laviska Shenault Jr. from Colorado, stat wise, has the most yards per game, has I think close to the most touchdowns in the entire league right now. Like he every time he gets like the ball, every time he has a targeted pass to him, whether it's the go ahead score against Nebraska, whether it's the countless amount of touchdowns he had against Colorado State, his performance on the field is just consistently dominant, consistently just like awe inspiring every single week. And stat wise, he's leading. Stat wise, he is the best wide receiver in the country without a doubt. When you find like multiple Heisman contender watches, he's always the top wide receiver up there. He's always in the top 5, top 10. I think the Laviska Shenault Jr. If it's going to go to wide receiver, go to him. Obviously, it's going to go to quarterback. It's not going to go to him. It won't drop unless he like continues to perform even better than the week before. I think it's going to go to either Kyler Murray or Tua or someone who's a quarterback for one of those Power 5 teams. But he should definitely be in the talks for this is the best wide receiver in the country. What he's doing is absolutely insane. He is just dominating every defense, no matter who he's playing, no matter how good or how bad Stephen Montez is throwing that day. He is day in, day out the best wide receiver in college football, and he should at least be noticed for that success.
I just want to interrupt for a
All right,
minute.
go for it. Yeah,
The young GOAT, Baker Mayfield,
yeah.
in the Cleveland Browns
Dominic,
just
we're
won a
not
game.
talking about that. They won a game.
I know. No, no, no. I didn't want to interrupt. All I'm saying is Cleveland actually won a game. Come on.
All right, okay, all right, okay.
Like, I don't care if this is a college football show or like a wrestling show. We're talking about Cleveland winning.
If we had like the tech budget, we would have like a little scroll at the bottom, like breaking news: Cleveland Browns win a game. But we don't have that. Okay, fair enough. Again, it is like a college football
Yeah.
show.
Oh, print out a new piece of paper.
You could have been like speaking
Cleveland
Oklahoma.
Browns.
Yeah, speak. I should have done that. But anyway, so I mean, yeah, we were talking about Oklahoma. I guess it makes sense to bring them up. But all right, quick shout out to the Browns. Great job winning one game in the last 600 something days. Congrats.
626.
Yeah, exactly. I bet Cleveland's burning. I bet Johnny Manziel's crying. Whatever. Anyway, back to college football, Dominic, because it's a college
I'm
football
sorry.
show.
I got hyped.
Yeah, I was wondering why you're freaking out. Because I mentioned Laviska Shenault Jr. You started like freaking out. I'm like, why is he hype? Apparently, you weren't even like paying attention. But okay, cool.
No, no, no. I was listening, but I was also kind of looking at my phone. Because, no, all right, no, no. Get off
Okay,
this topic.
all right.
Let's go.
So we all set with the Heisman watch. Are you all set with that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right.
Oh, wait, no, no. Actually, I want to talk about A.J. Dillon for BC.
Of course you do.
Don't sleep on him. He could have a strong second half like he did last year because he's already having a good first half, better than he did obviously last year because he didn't get as many runs. But if he has a strong second half, he can put himself as a Heisman contender. I've seen him as far as number 8 and as high as number 6
Do you think he's better than
on people's lists.
Do you think he's better than Oklahoma's running game? Do you think he's better than a healthy Bryce Love? Because I forgot to mention this. I wanted Bryce Love to win this year because I'm a big Bryce Love fan. I think that when he is healthy, he is unstoppable. I think that both the defenses he played so far, both USC and San Diego State, did a very good job. Well, not so much USC, but San Diego State did a very good job of stopping him. They knew how to stop him in the run game. But if you think that if he's healthy, or Oklahoma's one of their running backs, obviously, do you think that they have a better chance of beating A.J. Dillon if it goes to running back, or do you think that he is the best running back in the nation right now?
I'm going to be honest with you. this may be biased, but I think AJ Dillon might be one of the best,
All
if
right, okay.
not the best running backs in college. I was watching him. Did you not see him stiff arm that
Did
Wake
you not
Forest
see
player
Bryce
last
Love
week?
stiff arm the USC like DB who just got thrown across the field? If you want to talk about stiff arm, I'm going to talk about
No,
Bryce Love
literally,
manhandling someone,
AJ Dillon made
throwing
him
him at
eat
least 5 yards,
turf
dude.
and rubbed it in.
Bryce Love threw a grown man across the football field with an easy stiff arm.
AJ Dillon does that week in, week out. Bryce
Really?
Love does that
How come
twice
I
a
don't see it
year
then
and
on
gets
like highlight
highlights.
reels? How come it's on my Twitter feed then?
Yeah,
Actually, no, probably
yeah,
is. It's probably because of you. You probably retweeted it. That's how I saw it. I probably just scrolled
yeah,
by
it
it like,
probably
oh, it's
was.
Dominic, whatever.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure I did
All right.
retweet that
Well,
video.
if AJ Dillon does blow up weeks later, we can always go back to this episode and be like, oh, Dominic knew it. But we'll see, big
Well,
fella.
no, no, I did. All I'm gonna say is in my article for Heisman, I
Yep.
have him winning. So
Okay. All right. That's a bold take. I picked Bryce Love. That's a pretty safe bet. That's a bold take though. And we're not even on hot takes yet.
yeah,
That's the crazy part. We're not even close hot takes yet. Anyway, up next is the top 10 power rankings. And to be clear, because I misunderstood Dominic when he thought of this idea recently. We're not talking about top 10 as far as like playoff contenders. We're talking about top 10 after the first 3 weeks of college football. So top 10 power rankings right now. Dominic is your idea. Let's hear your top 10 first.
I say no, no. I want to go. We'll each say our number ones and go from there. So I have number one. I'm guessing you have them at number one, Alabama.
Yeah, I do have Alabama at number one. So we're like one
Yeah,
and two. Okay, cool. Yep, I do have Alabama at one for obvious reasons. I mean, again, I'm still really fucking bullshit that Nick Saban gets away with murder every year, booking terrible teams that have no chance of being anything significant at all. But after their win last week, you can't deny Alabama is just really that good. Their defense, even when they're injured, and this is the scary thing to me as a team who, as a fan of a team who's not an Alabama team. That was a weird way to say that. As a fan of someone who does not support Alabama, to see their team be that good on defense when they're missing so many key players for linebackers, to see both the wide receivers do extremely well, to see Tua start and then have Jalen on the bench is just it's ridiculous. Like
and
they
then come
are,
off the bench and do good.
yeah. It's like it's I don't
Although I want to see this week, upcoming,
yeah,
they'll actually have a good test. Their defense will have a good test against a good offense in Texas A&M.
yeah,
Because I have them ranked number one because of what they've done so far, but I want to see their defense get tested more in order to have a better understanding.
definitely. I want to see them go
Their
against a
defense
very
hasn't
good
been tested
coach.
too
Yeah,
much.
no, yeah. And like I want them to go against a very good coach and a very solid matchup. In
Yeah,
fact, the Texas I was going to bring this up later. The Texas A&M Alabama game is my game to watch this week. Last week it was New Mexico versus New Mexico State in the battle of the two worst shit teams in the nation to see who was the absolute worst in the state. But this week it is Texas A&M versus Alabama. Texas A&M almost took down Clemson, which was the second best team in the nation at the time.
well, maybe if the refs didn't make.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
it went out the back of the end zone, even though it went out of bounds.
Yeah, like a terrible
Yeah.
call like ruined that game for them. But the fact is, like they were down by a few scores. The Clemson came back and almost won it. I don't think it's. I think it's in. I don't think it's at College Station this week. Do you know like who's hosting the game?
No, it's at Alabama,
Yeah.
so
So like obviously that's definitely not going to help
that's a big
Texas
loss,
A&M. Yeah,
somewhat.
because if you play in College Station, that's a huge
Yeah, they're
like a huge
obviously the
factor for
home of the
Texas
12th
A&M.
man.
Yeah, so like I kind of wish this game was a Texas A&M, but unfortunately it's not. But I think that Jimbo Fisher is a fantastic coach. I think he's insane talented. He has a very good core already. He has arguably one of the best recruiting classes for next year already. Even though it's only like September, he already has locked down some of the best players already, which is
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's
ridiculous
got
to
the
me.
number three recruiting class.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's like Georgia again's number one, which I mean is killing it
Yeah,
with
it's
recruiting.
Georgia, Alabama, then I think Texas A&M, then of course Oregon because we're
Yeah.
gods. Yeah,
Anyway.
our biggest loss.
Anyway, I mean, like I don't know what Kirby Smart's doing over there,
Yeah,
but whatever
biggest
he's
loss.
doing,
All right.
yeah, whatever Kirby Smart's doing, it's working for sure. But yeah, Texas A&M is bringing in some really talented players for next year. They're going to be a top 10 team, if not a top five team next year for sure. But Texas A&M this year is insanely good. You cannot sleep on them. I think that even if they lose to
All right, let's get
Alabama,
off. We're off topic right now.
no. I know we're talking about top 10 power rankings, but I'm not done talking about Texas A&M. I know that even if they lose, they're still going to be in the 20s, maybe even go higher than that because I think that they're going to really
Yeah, they
exploit the Alabama defense. They're really going to find holes in the Alabama defense for the first time this season. I think that they're going to make a very strong contest like they against Clemson. They could possibly win. I hope they do win. I think Alabama
I
most likely will win. But yeah, Alabama definitely is the best team in the nation for sure. But Texas A&M is really going to test that this week. I'm very excited to see
Yeah,
how that
I love
happens.
Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Jimbo Fisher, great coach. You saw what he did at Florida State. Obviously, he didn't have a
Well, I
great
mean,
year last year. They
what he
missed
did
a
against
lot of
Clemson, I
pieces,
never saw
but
that at Florida State. Like he was good at Florida State, but I mean, like he is really good at Texas A&M right now. Like he is really onto
well, no,
something
he
there.
brought them to the national championship,
Well,
like playoffs, and then Oregon destroyed them.
I know, yeah, but what I'm saying is that like I feel like he's in a better spot already at Florida, not Florida State, at Texas A&M. Like obviously he did a very good
Yeah,
job at Florida State for sure, like you just said. But I think that he's going to take Texas A&M so much farther, possibly to a national championship, and actually win the championship. Is what I'm trying to say. Anyway,
yeah.
all right. So who do you have number two? The top 10.
Georgia,
I have Georgia as well, and basically just because their offense is unstoppable. Jake Fromm,
yeah. Jake Fromm,
yeah, is just killing
great
it.
passer. DeAndre Swift at running back. Their number one cornerback. I don't know if you knew this. DeAndre Baker
Okay,
hasn't let up a touchdown since
I did
2016.
not know that, and that's an insane stat. Actually, I love that stat. That's crazy.
And people still think he's not one of the best cornerbacks in college.
Yeah,
I don't know
there's
how.
haters everywhere. People are always gonna doubt success, stuff like that. But what I want to point out though against Georgia is I thought they were gonna be not terrible this year, but I thought they're gonna be like ranked 7 to like 13 this year because I thought that they lost so much talent in the offseason, especially on defense, that they would not be able to recover from that in the offseason. You know, even though they had a really good recruiting class, I thought
Yeah,
that a lot of their key players they built their team around were in the NFL were done. So like I thought that they were not going to be nearly as good. Kind of like how UCF fell a little bit, not too much, but they fell a little bit in the offseason. But Georgia got better in the offseason. And offensively, I don't see how you could stop them.
yeah,
Unless you somehow can like lock down their passing game or Jake Fromm gets hurt or something like that. But right now Georgia is just unstoppable, definitely second best team in the nation. Would be the best if Alabama showed any weaknesses at all, but they haven't yet.
yeah. Because Georgia put on a show against South Carolina
They
too.
really
That's
did.
what really impressed me. I
A
thought South
ranked
Carolina
24 in the
could
nation,
possibly
South
pull an
Carolina.
upset,
Yeah. Like
but it didn't happen.
yeah, it did not at all. All right, who do you have for three then?
Number three, you go first. I want
I
to hear your number
I have
three.
Clemson at three.
Oh, I have LSU.
I believe that. I mean, like, I don't want to jump on the LSU hype too soon.
I'm not jumping on their hype train. I'm just looking at the stats and the record. They went week one on the road and beat Miami. And then they go week three on the road at Auburn
Yeah,
University. Crazy university to play at, and they beat them. They've had two good road wins. Defense has looked good. Joe Burrow, not running back, quarterback could look better. I think he'll improve. He still needs to learn the offense since he transferred in. So I think that's part of it. But I think they're number three based off of what they have done so far.
I believe that LSU is definitely a very strong contender for that. But I think that the Clemson offense, I think the Clemson offensive line especially, and obviously they're pretty much like two-headed monster for quarterback right now. Is just so much better than LSU's offense right now. Defensively, I would give it to LSU, but I think that Clemson right now is just,
Clemson's defense has been so disappointing to me this year.
yeah. Like I guess Texas A&M they fell apart in the last quarter, which you can't have that happen with a top
No,
five
like
team.
even first like smaller teams, like they haven't been getting the sacks that I thought they would be.
Yeah, no, they're definitely like a little disappointing in that aspect, but I think that overall as a team, they're slightly better than LSU right now.
Yeah,
I think that LSU could definitely pass them. And if I was a Clemson fan, I'd definitely be very worried right now because I think that SEC teams are really creeping up on their chances to be one of the best teams in the nation. But I think that Clemson has the offensive advantage over LSU currently at the moment. But I mean, like we both have said, LSU is looking fantastic. Clemson has weaknesses. Clemson could see themselves falling very soon. But all right, who do you have at four then?
for four, I don't even have Clemson at four either. I
Wow.
got Ohio State
Don't
at
let Brett
four.
hear this. Don't let Brett anyone else in
Yeah, Brett, don't
in South
watch this.
Carolina hear this.
Don't watch this when I'm dead.
Right. All right. So who do you have at four? Sorry, I talked over you.
Ohio State.
Ohio State. I think Ohio State is not as over. I think the most overrated team. Well, before the season started, the most overrated team was FAU for sure. Then last week was Boise State. Boise State's not out of the top 25, thank God. Notre Dame is definitely the most overrated team in the nation right now. I'll admit that. I've been saying that for a very long time. Even week one, I was like Notre Dame's not that good. But outside Notre Dame, the second most overrated team is Ohio State. They're good. They definitely
No
have a very strong
way.
quarterback, but they are not that good. And like
Their
they almost
offensive
had a
line.
severe loss, like almost as bad as Wisconsin like last week. Like Ohio State is a loosely
How
held
did they
together
almost
team.
lose as bad? Because TCU is a great team.
TCU is a great team, and TCU should have beat Ohio State, and TCU should be in the top 10 or close top 10, not Ohio State.
Texas A&M wasn't ranked and almost
I
beat Clemson.
I'm but I'm like again, but like look at BYU. BYU wasn't ranked. Now they're ranked. TCU is like I think 16 or like 17 right now in the nation. Very close. That's
They
Texas
were
A&M kind of
15 when
range.
they played Ohio State.
Still, I don't believe that Ohio State is that good. I think they're very loosely held together team. I think that Ohio State is definitely within like the top 15, but they should not be the fifth
They
best
actually have
team
one of the best quarterbacks in the nation
or the
who
fourth
leads
best.
the
Sorry.
Heisman voting. I forgot to mention him, Dwayne
No,
Haskins.
yeah, like
They got a
I just said that.
two-headed
I said
running
their quarterback is
attack
very good.
by Mike Weber and J.K. Dobbins. Their wide receivers have been good, although Mack has been dropping a lot of passes. And their defense, what else is there to say? They've always had a good defense.
I don't. I think that
I,
they're
I think
solid. I
they're
don't think they're that
solid.
good.
I think they make a run to the playoffs.
I don't think at all. I think they're gonna suffer two losses this season, and they're gonna be nowhere near. Like they might get the Big Ten. Like they might get the Big Ten championship, but that's about it. That's all they're gonna get. They're not gonna get into the playoff
Yeah,
without a doubt. My opinion, the fourth best team is Oklahoma. Oklahoma's offense is fantastic. Great run game. Would be the Heisman tomorrow if the voting was tomorrow and Kyler Murray. The defense is decent, but I think it's going to get better. But they definitely they played a harder team every single week. They first played against FAU, who was 24 at the time in the nation, blew them out by like a 40-plus point win. Played UCLA again. UCLA was hyped to be decent at least before the season started. Obviously, they were one of the teams that exposed UCLA, so they're part of that whole like UCLA is trash. We're going to show that they're trash, so respect them for that. Their win last week was fantastic as well. I think that Oklahoma is definitely the fourth best. If you watch like their offensive game, and I'm not trying to make it a one-sided kind of ball game, but their offense is just so elite that you can't put a team like Ohio State in front of them. You have to respect the best offense, best overall offense in the
yeah.
nation, and put them at four, without a doubt.
I think Oklahoma's a great team. They got Kyler Murray that we've obviously been talking about. And then you brought up UCLA. They're still in like a rebuilding
I know, yeah,
mode.
but the whole
Brian
point
Chip
was I was trying
Kelly.
to say is that they got better and played better and better opponents every week. They
Yeah, I
exposed
know, no, but I'm
UCLA
trying to point
as one of
out
the teams that
that
did that.
UCLA is trying to rebuild right now.
But
So
Oklahoma did play really well against them, though. You can't take away that
yeah,
Oklahoma
yeah,
didn't play
yeah.
well. Like, obviously, UCLA is playing terrible, but Oklahoma's play against UCLA was fantastic, which is one of the reasons why everyone's like, oh, UCLA is trash right now, because Oklahoma just proved to the entire nation that they're that terrible. It's the whole point I was trying to
Yeah.
make. So, yeah, I wasn't trying to hype up UCLA. I was trying to say that, like, Oklahoma's that good that they ruined a
No,
team's
you're trying to hype up
season
that
in
win
one
though
game.
against UCLA when it shouldn't have been hyped up.
All right, I still think like a win of like what was it like 30 points, six or was it might have been like 20 or something like that. But I forget. It was a big margin for sure. I think it was like 40
Yeah.
something to 20 something, whatever it was. It was a big win for Oklahoma. UCLA did not play well the entire game, and Oklahoma made sure they would lock them down and exploit them on defense, and they did. So because of that, they should be the fourth best team in the nation. I'm blanking who they played last week, but it actually is a close contender for once.
Iowa State.
That's right. And Iowa State is a very solid team. They kept it close with Iowa, and Iowa is all it should be or should be at least close to a top 25 team right now. I think they're like 26, 27 in
Yeah,
voting.
Iowa State has a good team right now. They got a good running
Yeah, and
back in
Oklahoma
David
had a very good
Montgomery
win against
too.
them. So like again, every single week they play a better and better team. Every single week they get a blowout win. Fourth best team in the nation. I don't get how you could put Ohio State before them.
Ohio State's been more solid, I think.
Anyway,
Better wins.
all right. So we do it for five then.
5, I got
I was
Clemson
gonna say
finally.
if you had Clemson farther than five, it'd be like that's disrespectful.
Yeah, yeah. But I wouldn't have lived to see tomorrow because Brett would have flown out.
Right. So I have LSU at five, just because I think that Clemson more well rounded. Cannot pronounce that and save my life. Oklahoma, I have LSU just because their offensive game is so much stronger. But LSU, in my opinion, is definitely a contender for the College World Playoff, contender to win the SEC. They're going to keep rising throughout the entire year. I mean, they do have one of the hardest schedules. They play Georgia and Alabama within 3 weeks, like apart from each other.
Yeah,
So
that's
like they
tough.
have an insanely hard schedule. Like, and they play Texas A&M. I think the very last week of the season. Like they do not have the easiest path whatsoever to get to where they could end up, which is SC champions, possible national champions. But they do have the potential to do it. They have increased. I'm saying this wrong. They have gotten better and better every single week. I try to say that in such a weird way. They have increased their style of play every single week and have been more and more efficient, more and more elite every single week. They could definitely get to that top 3 spot. They could definitely find themselves playing for the title, but they have to overcome some serious mountains first. But I think that right now, like they're showing promise too. But overall power rankings, though, you got to have Clemson, Oklahoma ahead of them, though. Who do you have at
Nah,
6?
nah, 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 nah. So this is why I have Clemson at 5. I thought their defense was going to be much better. Defensive line, obviously, and their linebackers are playing pretty good. They're playing on an elite level, but they're not playing up to what they could be. The number one defense in the nation.
Okay.
And then their passing defense, it's just been hard this season. You saw what even though it was Texas A&M, you saw what they did to
No,
them.
like Texas A&M abused their defense in the last like quarter of the game. I'll admit that for sure. And I do agree that like if you're comparing Clemson expectations wise, well then definitely because they were supposed to be the best team in the nation, and now they're not playing
Yeah.
anywhere close to the play of Georgia and Alabama for sure. So if you're gonna go off that, like basing your standards off what they were supposed to be versus what they are right now, I think that's
No, no, no,
fair
no,
but kind
no.
of unfair at the same time. I think that going
They
off,
also haven't been. I don't know.
but the thing is, I'm not
Their
trying to get
offense hasn't been explosive, even though they've been scoring points. They haven't been as explosive as I thought they should be,
okay,
especially against the teams they were playing.
yeah. I'm not trying to compare them to how they're supposed to be by this point in the season because that's to me that's kind of unfair. I mean, unless you're like actually on the Clemson team, I feel like you should be comparing them to what they're supposed to be. I'm looking at them and comparing them to the rest of the nation, and they still are the third best team in the nation compared to LSU and Oklahoma. But I mean, if you're going to compare them based on like how they're supposed to be playing versus how they actually are playing, then yeah, I guess putting them at 5 is fair. Who do you have at 6 then?
Oklahoma, wrap it up. Their defense last year was good. They got better each week, but last year their defense wasn't the best. Their defense is one of the best this year. Their defense is playing at an elite level. They got Kyler Murray. They did lose Rodney Anderson at running back, but they still got a great running back. They got arguably the second best wide receiver core in the nation behind Ole Miss. I might even go ahead and say they're number one ahead of Ole Miss. It's a toss up.
True. I mean,
That's
I'm
just
a
my
huge I'm a
thought.
huge Ole Miss. Well,
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
say huge Ole Miss fan. I'm definitely on the hype for Ole Miss wide receiver core, but I do agree with you. They're that good. I have Stanford at 6. The reason for that is because every single week they keep like overachieving and exceeding my expectations for them. Week 1 they look kind of shaky, but then again we didn't realize how good San Diego State was or how good the Mountain West was week 1. Like to me, I was like, oh, it should be an easy win. It wasn't really an easy win for them. USC was supposed to be a very good team, and they held them to just 3 points the entire game. Made them look like they were an absolute trash out of Power Five team. Like their whole play against USC was just as embarrassing, or I said like they were embarrassing USC, not they were embarrassing. They embarrassed USC as bad as Bryce Love embarrassed that defense when he absolutely stepped on them across the field. Like to me, Stanford played so well against them, absolutely killed UC Davis. I think that the reason why I only have them at 6 is because they're not as explosive as other teams ahead of them. They're not as explosive on offense as Oklahoma. They're not as impressive as Georgia, Alabama right now. They're definitely not as well built as Clemson because, in my opinion, they're very. I'd say they're very like they don't have a lot of depth is what I'm trying to say. Bryce Love is obviously insanely talented, but with his injury, obviously he can't do as much right now. JJ Arcega is probably one of the best wide receivers in the nation. They have a very good quarterback as well, but outside of those 3 players, there's not much left for Stanford offense. Stanford defense is very good, but I mean it's not
Yeah,
as good as other teams like LSU in the nation.
yeah.
I think that Stanford definitely, if they keep improving every single week, they'll stay at that 7 to 5 range in rankings, and they'll most likely win the Pac-12 championship. But I don't think that the closest they'll get to any kind of national title will be the 4th seed in the playoffs, and they'll lose first round for sure. I think that they're good, but they're not that good. But they definitely what they do well, they do really really well, and that's have a very good red zone run game, that's have a very good wide receiver, and that's have a very good lockdown defense that can keep teams that should score well like USC and San Diego State to low, almost shutout scores. That's why they should be 6.
I don't know with Stanford though. Their defense is very mediocre,
I wouldn't say
If they
mediocre.
need the
Like,
defense to win them a game, I don't know if they can.
I mean, they're not as good as LSU, but they're not mediocre. They're a very solid defense. They
But
they
like, I
completely
don't know
shut
if
down
they could win
USC.
you a
They
game.
completely shut down USC. And I get like I get that's like not an impressive team right now, but their play against USC was very good. Anyway, who do you have for 7? I have Auburn personally because I think that Auburn is still one of the best teams in the nation despite their loss to LSU. I think their play against Washington was fantastic. I think, like I said earlier, I feel so bad for them. They're playing such an insanely hard schedule, but they're still doing well. They're still a team that's going to have to overcome more mountains, like obviously, like I said with LSU, but they're still a very solid team on both sides of the ball. They should definitely be top 10 still, like they are. I think they should be a little higher at 7, but who do you have for 7?
You're gonna hate me for this one, but Penn State.
Penn State's not that good.
Yes, they are. Their
Penn State
defense
is
played
like
good. They
Penn
put up
State's like
68
11 or 12. They're
points.
not 7.
They put up 68 points, even
Against
though it
who?
was against a terrible team.
Who is
Their
it?
quarterback
Who are
showed
they? Who are they
why.
playing though? Who are they playing?
Who was it? It was some no-name school, but still, they
Yeah,
put up
so like, who
68 points
cares,
and held
dude?
them to
That's
10.
like Ohio State putting up 77 against Oregon State. Like, dude, who cares? It's Oregon State. They're trash. Like, good for you. That's I don't know. Like, Penn State's like they're not bad, but they're not good. They're like West Virginia. Like they're good.
Trace McSorley, one of the, I think he's one of the top three quarterbacks in the league. I'm putting that out there. Top three.
Okay,
Don't sleep on Trace McSorley.
I think Penn State is grossly not. I wouldn't say grossly overrated. I think that they're slightly overrated. They should be like 12th
I
in the
think
nation or
people think
11th
they're
maybe.
overrated, but they're really underrated
Okay, well,
for
what?
being
All right, well then
overrated.
when they do get an impressive win over someone, then we'll talk. But until then, they haven't done that. So anyway, at 7, like I said, I have Auburn. At 8, I have Washington. I think Washington played insanely well last week against Utah, even though Utah is a very terrible team. I think that their passing game is getting better. I think that their defense is getting better. The defense actually has some of the best players in the Pac-12 on them for sure. They definitely have some great weapons on the defensive side of the ball. I think that they struggle a little bit with offense. I think that Jake Browning's having a little bit of struggle right now, and their offensive line needs to get better. But I think that if they keep improving, they'll definitely be a threat for sure. I think that obviously their game against Stanford is going to be a huge pivotal moment to see like are they really a contender or are they just a good team? Because I think that if they can really give Stanford a hard time and possibly win that game, then all of a sudden they are the favorites of the Pac-12. They can rise up the top 10 rankings even after taking the loss to Auburn. I think that they're not going to be. I mean, they might like the same thing with Stanford. They might find a way to argue and to get maybe a 4 spot. I don't think. I don't know. It'd be a really hard argument to get Washington into
Yeah,
the College
no.
Football Playoff. But I mean, like if they can turn things around after the Auburn loss, and if Auburn plays well, then they can be like, all right, well, Auburn was that good.
Yeah,
Then
if they win out, I think playoff spot.
yeah, but like
No
I mean,
doubt.
they're playing now. They're playing better now than they were against Auburn. Obviously, if they can shut down Stanford,
Yeah.
who Stanford right now obviously is one of the best teams in the nation, then that's gonna be huge for them too. I think that they're showing us like they're definitely showing signs of life. They're definitely showing signs of improvement too. I think it's definitely not too early to write them off. I think that they are better than the top 10, better than the 10 seed like they are right now. We're tied for the 10 seed. How stupid that is. But I think that they still have more things to fix, more things to improve on. But their play last week against Utah was definitely something to not be overlooked. They looked very, very solid against that Utah team, who was like the second best team in the Pac-12 South until everyone realized that all they do is run the ball. So, anyway, who do you have for 8 then?
8, I have Auburn. Simple. Their defensive backs are very good. They shut down the pass. You could see that against LSU last week until the fourth quarter, where Joe Burrow stepped up, kind of made some passes, but they still made plays, the defensive backs. Jarrett Stidham, great quarterback. He did make a couple bad throws last week, had an interception or two, but I think he's still a great quarterback and he can lead this team. That's why I have him at 8. The the losses, well, the loss they have to LSU, that's why I bumped them down to 8. I think Penn State beats them a little bit in offense. That's the only reason.
I believe it. And again, like I have Auburn at like 6, so yeah, I think that's a good spot for them for sure. At 9, I have Ohio State because I think they're definitely not a bad team, but they're not a great team. I think that when they do face a very strong contender in the Big Ten, they're going to take that one or they'll take that second loss this season, and they'll be exposed as being a team like Wisconsin now, where like they're good, but they're not that fantastic. But I mean, obviously they're a top 10 team. I'm not going to take away from how good the quarterback is or how good their defense is, et cetera, et cetera. But they're not as good as everyone thinks they are right now, and that'll be revealed later on the season for sure. But I think Ohio State needs to be in the top 10, and they are the ninth best team in the nation.
Yeah.
Cool. And then
Number 9 for me
yeah,
is Washington.
okay,
Simple. Jake Browning isn't the best quarterback. He's a game controller. He'll help you lead the team. That's what I
exactly.
like about him.
That's true.
I like that about him because they found a leader that will help him. He can make throws, but he won't win you games. They got a great running back, Miles Gaskin. He showed up against Utah last week, obviously. He went off. And then they always have a great secondary again. Their secondary is looking nice with Taylor Rapp, safety, leading the way. So that's why I have him coming in at 9.
Definitely. All right, then for me, for 10, I have West Virginia. I think that Will Grier is a great quarterback. Fantastic. I think that they have a little more to prove this year. I think that obviously the Big 12 is definitely stacked as well. So they'll definitely face good opponents this year that will prove their strength. I think they have a little more to prove, especially on the defensive side of the ball too. But I think that Will Grier is a fantastic leader. Same thing with like Jake Browning, and same thing with Drew Lock. Quarterbacks that are playing just out of their minds right now, leading their teams, definitely the defining players for their teams, and could easily bump their teams into higher contention, and for Washington and West Virginia's situations, put them closer and closer to getting a solid, contention for a college football playoff spot. But I think that they have a lot more left to prove besides the fact that Will is insanely good at quarterback. But they should definitely be the top 10 for sure.
My number 10, Stanford.
Okay.
Simple. They got a great offense. They got Bryce Love. They got a great wide receiver. They got a young quarterback that they're molding into a star.
He's already
Their
playing well.
defense
He's
is
already playing very
solid.
well.
Yeah, yeah. The quarterback's playing well. Defense is solid. Not elite, though. That's why I kind of bumped them down to 10. They did have that one against USC, although USC isn't as strong this year. That's why I have them at number 10.
True. All right, so that wraps up our top 10 power rankings. We got to definitely do the last two segments, not as long as that one. That one kind of went on for a while. But we got
Yeah.
my favorite one, hot takes. Ooh,
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. All right.
You go first so I can
yeah.
just rebuttal you.
I know, because you know what's going to come up. I only have two hot takes right now. And I have one that I'm going to stick by. That's going to be extremely biased. If you're going to do your A.J. Dillon rant, I get to have my Colorado rant. And that is Colorado is going to win the Pac-12 South. Right now, they are winning it currently. I don't have to say that they will. They are right now. They're going to keep winning and eventually win out. I don't know, depending on how well Stanford and Washington play against each other, we could see them win the Pac-12. It could happen if they keep getting better, if Laviska Shenault keeps playing at the level he is, if Stephen Montez keeps improving, because he's playing leagues better than he was last year. That's something that is undeniable. If Nate Landman keeps being a brick wall on defense, if Juwan Winfrey keeps getting very clutch catches, like his 3rd and 19 conversion against Nebraska football, 3rd and 19 gets that first down. So, I think that, hey, hot take's not done yet. I think that if Arizona State gets revealed as being good but just okay, I think that if USC keeps playing terrible, if Utah refuses to pass the ball, if UCLA and U of A keep playing terrible, the Pac-12 South should be ours. We can definitely start 4-0. We're 3-0 right now. We can definitely beat UCLA next week to be 4-0. We can most likely beat Arizona State to be 5-0. I think we're playing Cal the week after that. I haven't looked that far because I'm kind of like a week-per-week person, I'm not trying to think about the championship yet. I'm trying to think about the week, the next week, the next game to win, stuff like that, But I think that it could happen. I could definitely see us playing for the Pac-12 title. Chances are we'll probably be blown out like we were 2 years ago against Washington. But if
No, that was a
Stanford,
great game to watch.
it was a great game to watch if you were not a Colorado fan like myself. If you're a Colorado fan, it was painful. It hurt. But I mean, let's say like Washington can't fix. Let's say they win the North. They can't fix the problems they have on offense with Jake Browning not having the best decision making on offense and their offensive line not doing so well. Colorado could exploit that with their fantastic defense they have right now, or just play better on offense and beat them. If Stanford wins the Pac-12 North and Bryce Love is out for the year, you could have a very solid defensive back unit for Colorado, which they've had for years now. Stop J.J. Arcega, and all of a sudden control the ball defensively wise, or control the game. Defensively wise. I think that winning the Pac-12 is a stretch for Colorado, but I think we can definitely lock down the Pac-12 South for sure. That's my hot take. My second one I want to say, I know Dominic's ready for this. So the SEC, like I said before, is very stacked. This year, it's crazy.
Wait. I want to discuss your hot take.
I'm building up to it. I'm building up to it.
South.
Dominic, I was trying to build up to it. Anyway, the SEC Wait. Are you talking about Colorado?
Yeah,
All right, my
Colorado.
bad, my bad. Okay, sorry. All right. I thought you were talking about
Yeah, yeah,
SEC. All
yeah.
right, okay.
I
Go
think
into the
they'll win the
Pac-12
South.
South.
I
Okay.
actually I
Thank you.
looked into
Thank you.
this.
Skip us.
I just didn't want to agree with you. I think they'll win the South, but they're not winning the Pac championship. I'm sorry.
Why?
They're
Because
not
Oregon's
beating
winning it.
either Washington or Stanford
Okay, true. I mean, like,
or
it definitely is a stretch for sure,
any of
but
those
yeah.
teams.
I mean, a Pac-12 championship appearance is a win for me, especially when we weren't even we were hyped up to be like the second
Six and
worst.
six.
Yeah, we were hyped to be the second worst team in the Pac-12 South, and now we might actually win it. That to me is a huge win. I don't care if we get blown out 44-0 against either Stanford or Washington. That to me is a win in my book. But anyway, I'm glad you agree. However, the SEC this year is insanely well rounded. Last year was very top heavy with Georgia and Alabama pretty much being the only two realistic teams to make. Obviously, they both made the college football playoff, but the only two realistic teams to make a solid run in a national championship this year. And obviously, they play each other in the national championship. Anyway,
Yeah.
right now, I mean, top 10, there's really 11 teams in the top 10. But right now, 5 of the top 10, essentially half the top 10 right now, is from the SEC. Auburn, LSU, Georgia, Alabama, and wow, I'm blanking the last one. This is going to look terrible. I've named off 4 teams. There's really 5 of them. Who's the last one I'm forgetting? Or is it really not?
Uh,
This is a bad look if I if I don't have all 5 up there.
I don't know
All right,
what teams
actually,
you're thinking
wow.
of.
Wow, this is a terrible look. What was it, Mississippi State? Who was it?
I don't know what team you're thinking
All right,
of.
so my bad. That
Let me
actually was 4. I
translate.
don't know where I got the 5 from. I think all right, that's a terrible look anyway. So my bad. 4 of the top 10.
Yeah,
That's
that's a
still
terrible
insane.
look for you.
I
Yeah.
know that's terrible look for me. I was like playing the whole set out too and everything like that. All right, so apparently only 4 of them. I thought for some reason there was 5 in there. I guess for some reason saw Mississippi State up there and I was like, oh no way, they have 5 total. They don't, but they have 4 though, and that's still crazy impressive. Then you have teams in the SEC that aren't ranked yet, or at least are ranked. They're still playing well or something like that, etc. Missouri's not ranked, but they're playing extremely well. Kentucky is not ranked, but they have Josh Allen who's playing insanely well as well. Um, Mississippi State is ranked. Obviously, they're playing well themselves. Ole Miss defensively is terrible. Wide receiver, of course, fantastic. The only real team, I mean, Tennessee's playing good too. Only real team that's terrible in the SEC is Arkansas. But outside of that, the entire conference is insanely stacked. Right now, and I do have a stat for this, they have a 98% chance to send at least one team to the college football playoff. They have a 49% chance to send multiple teams. They will most likely send 2. Unless Georgia or Alabama have terrible losses, they will most likely send both those teams to the SEC.
Yeah, both those.
Yeah, like they're both locks to go into the playoffs.
No,
What? Maybe they're not
no,
locks.
I'm sorry. You go, then I'll discuss
Okay,
my hut.
there is a chance, and there is a mathematical chance. We did prove this. We could have 3 SEC teams
I
in
literally
in the
told you
champ
there's a 1% chance at most.
okay. I just want to point this out. I mean, first of all, I want to point out first of all that when I said there's a 49% chance for multiple teams to make it, there's only a 15% chance that 2 or more Big Ten teams make it, and then only 1% chance for the Big 12 or ACC send multiple teams. There is a 0.1% chance that 2 Pac-12 teams make it. 0.1. But anyway, I think that you could see Alabama, Georgia, LSU. I think Auburn would have to
No.
have an insane run. I don't think it's even possible for them. It might not be, but you could definitely
Let
have.
me break down.
Hey,
Let me just
I'm
break it
not. No, no,
down
no,
of
no, no.
how it's
I'm gonna
impossible.
break down my reasoning behind this, and then we'll get to you.
All right. All
Auburn,
right.
Georgia, LSU could all make appearances in the college football playoff this year, and this is how. LSU would have to win out, obviously, from here on out, which is insanely hard. Like I said before, they have one of the hardest schedules in the entire nation. They play both Alabama and Georgia within the 3-week span. I'm pretty sure they played Texas A&M last week, like I was saying earlier. They have insane mountains to climb to get there. But if they do win out and they win the SEC championship, let's say Georgia only loses that one game to LSU and they go to the SEC championship and lose to LSU. And let's say Alabama loses the Iron Bowl to Auburn and they lose to LSU. Obviously, Alabama's going to be in because it's Alabama. Their brand awareness is so high that you cannot
No.
not have them in there. I mean,
Wrong.
last year was a deciding factor. They should have not made it, and they didn't make it anyway. Let's say the Big 12 doesn't have a conference game. But let's say that Oklahoma does not finish on top of the Big 12. Then West Virginia go back and forth, etc. They look good, but not that good, or something like that. They take losses. They're not that strong. You'd have no Big 12 team represented. Let's say that Clemson holds on, win the ACC, and then they get in as the one team outside the SEC. Let's say Ohio State loses some games and they can't find their way. And let's say the Pac-12 just stays how they are and they don't get in because right now they don't have any team that can get in right now. And they just don't change anything, and they don't send either Stanford or Washington. Let's say Clemson's the only team outside the SEC that makes it in, and the Big Ten just kills each other with like Ohio State and Penn State just finding ways to lose and not make it into the College World Playoff. And LSU, like I said, goes undefeated. Alabama takes 2 losses, and Georgia takes 1 loss, and that loss is in the College World Playoff, or not College World Playoff, sorry, against LSU. You could have all 3 in there for sure. They've already built resumes already that are good enough to put all 3 of them in there. You just have to have the Big 12 and Big 10 fall apart, and then that's pretty much all you need, besides LSU winning literally every single game. But it really could happen, and especially with LSU getting better every single week, and with Georgia and Alabama solidifying themselves as the 2 best teams in the nation, I think that it really could actually happen this year. At least have LSU get very close to making that bid into the College Football Playoff. But I want to hear the reasoning. Obviously, there's so many things you could say to counteract it, but I think that if you really look at the team so far right now, you cannot deny that we could see it as a possibility for sure.
1% chance.
I know it's 1% chance. I know it's 1% chance, but
no, like I don't know if that's an actual stat. I'm just saying there's a 1% chance
okay, all
after
right. So,
researching.
see, I brought up real
The
numbers.
only
I
way
brought
I
up
see this
real
happening
numbers
is
and real facts. You're out here just make up exaggerations and just like random numbers from thin air. I brought up real facts and analytics about how it could happen. You're just like, oh, I don't think it's gonna happen. Great rebuttal, dude. But
well, no,
okay.
no, no. I figured out what would have to happen. LSU would have to win every game, which includes playing Alabama, Georgia, and Texas A&M,
I said the
plus other
exact
good
same
teams
thing. Well, I know, yeah.
along the way.
No, I literally said that verbatim. But if it does happen,
Georgia would have to lose one game. I don't know against anyone. Alabama would have to lose one game, which would be against. Yeah, no, no. Georgia would have to lose against LSU, and then Alabama would have to lose against LSU. So Alabama's 11-1. Doesn't make the championship game. Championship games are Georgia, LSU. Georgia wins the championship game, so they're now 11-1. Wait,
yeah,
yeah, no, they're 12-1. LSU's 12-1. Alabama's 11-1.
yeah, and they could easily make
But
it.
then you'd have to have conferences suffering bad,
Yeah, no,
terrible
exactly. All right,
losses,
but the
blowouts.
Pac-12 already is underwhelming. Unless Stanford or Washington break away, right now none of those teams make it to the College Football Playoff right now. So the Pac-12 already is not really a contender at all. Notre Dame, as an independent, is not going to make it in there. The Big Ten right now have Penn State and they have Ohio State as the only 2 teams right now that are very serious contenders to make it in there. I mean, obviously, like Auburn's up there for the SEC, but again, I don't think they
No,
even
but
have a chance
Auburn's going to
anymore.
lose to Alabama for the Iron Bowl in order for this to happen. So
Yeah.
automatically,
Okay, and then look at
Auburn's out.
okay, then look at the Big 12. Then you have
I'm
Oklahoma
telling you
State.
right now,
Yeah, the
I
Big
don't
12. All right, the
think
big yeah,
LSU's going to go undefeated.
bruh. Anyway, the Big 12 right now. You have Oklahoma, not Ohio State. You have Oklahoma up there in the top 5 right now, but you do also have West Virginia and you have Oklahoma State in the top 15 that could easily find ways to move around that kind of standings and finish ahead of Oklahoma to win the Big 12. And they don't even have a title game for their conference. They just have to finish at the top of their conference. So like the Big 12, in my opinion, could be the easiest one besides the Pac-12 to shake things up because you don't even have to play for a title. You just have to be the number 1 team standings wise. And if Oklahoma suffers one bad loss to one of those teams, they could be 11-1. But if they lose to West Virginia or if they lose to Oklahoma State, like all of a sudden they don't win their conference anymore because they lost to the team that was directly below them, now is above them. So like the Big 12 can
Yeah.
shake things up. ACC, I think we both agree is a lock with Clemson, unless Clemson falls off. But then again, like what if that happens?
No, no, no.
What if
Wait.
hey, well, what if BC beats Clemson? What if Boston College and other teams beat Clemson? Clemson falls out to like
I'm not
8
going
or
to say
something like
this is
that.
going to happen, but some analysts have said BC has a good chance of upsetting
Yeah,
Clemson.
they're a good team this year. I'm not going to doubt that. But I'm saying is like, and Duke's good too. There's teams in the ACC that could beat Clemson because Clemson had one bad loss
Virginia
last
Tech.
year. Yeah, Tech could do it as well. Let's say Clemson falls out of the top 4, and then one of the Big 10 teams or one of the Big 12 teams finds that last spot. You still have a chance for the 3 SEC teams to get in there. Like that's the thing is like the SEC is so stacked that you could have two of the three in contention conferences, that means two of the three, like not including Pac-12, that could fall off and have their number one contender fall down and not have anyone that can really, rebuttal and bounce up and take their spot. And you could have a weak team, like let's say Ohio State takes some losses and they get in, or let's say Oklahoma doesn't play as well as they are right now and they get in. You could still make a case for all three teams, LSU, Georgia, and Alabama, to make it in. I think it could really happen this year. I think we're going to have two teams no matter what, but we could really have three SEC teams. I don't think that's a bad thing for college football. I just think it shows how good that conference is right now. And if LSU is
I
that
don't
good,
think it will ever happen.
if LSU is that good, they should find a way to put them in there. Because I think it's unfair to LSU to just be in an unfortunate situation of being a great team in the wrong conference. Because if LSU was in
Yeah.
the Big Ten or the ACC, they'd be the best team for sure. So it's like I think the fact that they're just in a bad spot right now, like it's like a wrong place, a right place, wrong time, whatever, should not affect their bid to get in. Like if I'm looking at the Big Ten, and I think LSU is better than any single team in that conference. Same for the Big 12. I'm going to put LSU in, even if it seems ridiculous to have three SEC teams. The best team should be in there, not
No,
not
see,
the
the
best
thing
team in that
is,
conference, the best team in the nation. And right now it's LSU for almost all those conferences.
the committee will never put in three teams from a conference. They'll never do that
They put two in last
because they
year.
want diversity from
They
all
put
the
Alabama in, who
conferences.
shouldn't have even been there. They took, because last year the Big Ten was the best conference in football. They put,
The first year the playoffs happened, Baylor should have made it and didn't. So
well, I mean, like every year there's going to be like some kind of snub. But last year they proved that even with Alabama finishing the season in a terrible fashion, like the last 3 weeks for Alabama were terrible last year. Ohio State really should have made it last year, and they got snubbed by Alabama. That to me proved that they're going to put Alabama in for and brand awareness and for ticket sales. Obviously like ratings,
yeah,
etc., stuff like that. If they're going to make that kind of sacrifices for money, they're definitely going to put a sacrifice in there for a team who plays better and could, I guess, make them more money than a Big 10 team or Big 12 team. I think that it could happen this year. Obviously, the committee is going to take more things into factor than just how you play football on the field. I think that LSU could, both financial reasons and football reasons, outplay and outwin a bid over a Big 10 or Big 12 team. So I think that it really could happen this year. If it doesn't, like let's say one of those teams falls off, then whatever. But right now, I think that we could have three teams in there. I think it could definitely happen. All right.
well, this actually proves my point for my hot take.
Okay, what's your hot take then?
It's been since after week one, LSU gets the number 4 spot in the college playoffs.
Yeah, I like I said, I
I
believe it
think
for
this.
sure.
I think. See, Alabama has to go visit the real Death Valley down in Louisiana.
Clemson is just going to
LSU
hate you at
pulls
the end
out
of
the
the season.
W
Oh
versus
my God.
Alabama.
They just got hit by Florence. You're going to hit them with another slap in the face, bro. Like, really? Like,
Oh
come
my.
on. Come on, dude. Like,
Nah.
you're just
But
ruthless against Clemson.
everyone knows LSU is the real Death Valley.
No, it's Clemson's real Death Valley.
No, it's
Yes,
not.
it is. Clemson.
Well,
Anyway,
we're not
yeah, I was
arguing
going to say,
this.
we're not doing this. But anyway,
No, I think Alabama loses versus at LSU. I think Georgia pulls out a W against them, and I think LSU wins every game. I think the close game will be Texas A&M. I think LSU makes it to the championship, beats Georgia. I think Alabama somehow gets into the playoffs because it's Alabama at like 11-1. So they put them at like number 1 again because that's probably what they'll do because they're idiots. And then LSU will probably get the number 4 seed. I don't know what. You know what? I'll rechange my hot take from the number 4 seed to they'll make the playoffs because I don't know where they'll be seated.
okay. I mean, I think 4 seeds like fair because, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like the whole seeding thing really is, it can be kind of random too. So, but yeah, I agree with you. LSU will most likely be a college football playoff team. That made no sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying. All right, cool. Anything else for hot takes at all?
I think Joe Burrow will build off of like his offense more. Still learning the playbook. Once he gets it more, he'll be better. Give him some time.
Definitely, dude. But regardless, though, LSU, I'm so happy that they have got the spot they are right now. I'm so happy for Coach O. I'm so happy for the whole team, especially after last season. It's great to see them finally make it to that level
Yeah.
of like, we are back, we are the real deal. Like it's fantastic all around. I'm so happy it happened. Anything else for hot takes at all, or
There's really no other hot takes.
AJ Dillon for Heisman.
Nothing that I've seen. No, no, no. There's nothing else I've seen so far that I want to make a hot take out. Maybe next week, maybe the week after, I could see something.
Sure, yeah. All right then. Oh, there we go. Oh man, terrible. Anyway, last part of the show, upset of the week. I'm also going to talk about some games that would be kind of fun to watch this week. Obviously, I talked about Texas A&M, Alabama being the game of the week, but I might mention some other ones too. But I want to hear your upsets of the week because obviously you have a very good record right now. I think you're like 175 and like 40 something. My bad if I'm getting your
Yeah,
record wrong.
175 and 47.
Yeah, that's insane record. So like obviously you know the upsets because you're getting them right. So what are your upsets of the week?
My upsets, I have NC State at Marshall. I have Marshall upsetting NC State.
I
NC
believe it.
State coming off, they've lost so many of their players last year. Haven't looked good. I think Marshall, always a solid team. I think they pull off the upset. Another team that I see pulling off the upset, one of the loudest stadiums, their offense spread out, will play great against this defense. I think in a close, hard fought battle, they will win. I have number 20 Oregon defeating number 7 Stanford.
I wonder why you have that.
I'm not being biased.
Okay, all right, I believe it.
See, like, would I want to be biased and soil my record? No. I
All right,
really
okay, all
believe
right.
this can
You're a man
happen.
of your W's. I believe it. Is that all though for upsets? Do you have anything else you want to go into?
Well, I want to also, nah, I want to talk about, like, the Dirt Bowl game this
Okay.
week. It's two teams that haven't won a game yet.
Oh no.
New Mexico State at UTEP.
Oh man.
I want to see how
UTEP.
this goes. I
UTEP's
have
win
New
this.
Mexico State winning. They're favored by a little bit, but it's going to be a close battle of seeing
Thing is, like
who can be less bad,
UTEP has shown
who can have
signs.
the least amount of
UTEP has
turnover.
shown signs of possibly winning games. They could have beat UNLV last week. They could have beat them, but they didn't. New Mexico State, on the other hand, has had no chance of winning any other games. Blowout loss to Wyoming, blowout loss to Minnesota, blowout loss to Utah State, who they beat last year for the Arizona Bowl. They had no chance beating them this year. They lost like 60 to like 14, something crazy like that. Last week they had their one chance, their in-state rivalry, Battle of I-25 against the University of Mexico. It looked close for the first maybe 10 minutes of the game, and they're 14-0 after that. Literally no chance. I don't care who it is. They could be playing UMass, they could be playing UNH, they could be playing Haver High School football. No matter what, they're losing. They're their worst team in the nation for FBS. They should be an FCS team. They're independent. Like if I was them, I'd just be like, let's bump down to FCS and let's go from there. But they're losing. There's no way they're not gonna. There's no way they're gonna be able to find a win against UTEP. It's over for them. If they do, that'd be insane. Having both the Browns and New Mexico State win the same week. I highly doubt we'll see that though.
Yeah,
Anything else for
we'll never
not
know.
hot takes, but upset of the week? My bad.
Yeah, let's hear your upsets.
Okay. All right. So I first kind of want to go into games to watch first. Like these aren't upsets because I don't think they're gonna win. But I do like the matchup of FAU versus UCF. UCF is gonna win by a landslide. I'm not gonna say FAU is gonna come anywhere close to that. But FAU fans and UCF fans have been talking about making this a rivalry. UCF, the college is a very brand new college. Obviously, it was founded only a few decades ago, and
Yeah,
the football program is very young. FAU, same thing, very young too, and they both have very promising, programs. You have UCF, who had Scott Frost. I forget their new coach now, but they have one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Obviously, FAU is led by Lane Kiffin. You have two very good programs, or at least one very good program, one program that was hyped to be good, not so good right now. I think that they don't have a rivalry right now. If they do, like no one really cares about their current rivalry. Why not make this a rivalry? Like I'm so for
yeah,
making this a positive rivalry. I think some UCF fans are against it because they look down at FAU, but why not? Like it's a way to build Florida football. It's a way to take two new
yeah. Why
teams. They have
not?
a lot of hype and have a lot of new fans. They do have a lot of new fans. Even if you went to that school, you're new fans to that team. I think it's a great idea for college football to make them both rivalries. So I'm excited to watch that game. I'm excited to watch the fan bases react to it. I'm excited to watch Missouri versus Georgia. It's Drew Lock
Oh, that's
versus
gonna be a
Jake
great
Fromm.
game, actually.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great game. It's gonna be two fantastic
Drew Lock
quarterbacks.
played great against them last year.
Definitely. I think it's at Georgia this time, but it's still going to be a fantastic game. I think it's going to be an offensive just battle, and I'm very excited to watch that one. I think that Georgia's going to win it, but I think that it's not going to be that close. And
Yeah,
Missouri is going to really, really, fight. through every single quarter and make it as good of a game as possibly can be. I'm very excited to watch that one, but it's not going to be an
Yeah, I
upset.
don't know if the score is going to reflect how good how give them a fight.
Yeah,
I think it's still going to be kind of a blowout, not that much, but I think they're going to give them a run for their money the first 2.5 quarters.
yeah. Last two I want to watch, I mentioned this earlier. Like this week's gonna be very good for the Pac-12 because now we're gonna finally see where teams sit because they're actually gonna play each other and actually have good matchups. Like for example, Washington's playing ASU. If ASU plays well against Washington, they will be a good team. If they don't play well against them, I'm gonna write them off as they're just okay. And some days they play well, most days they don't. But if they can stop Washington or at least make it a close game against Washington, I will officially say that ASU is back and they are a team you cannot sleep on this year. You cannot go either to Arizona or have them come to your home and think it's going to be an easy win. If they can't keep it close against Washington, I don't think they will because I think that they're a fluctuating
Yeah.
team. But I think if they can do it, I'll definitely will not sleep with them anymore. Last one, and you mentioned too, Stanford versus Oregon. I'm more on the Stanford side. I think Stanford is just more of a threat and offensively will just still find a way to
No,
expose Oregon.
wrong.
Well, I wonder why you're picking them anyway. Stanford is going to win that game, in my opinion. And if they don't, then
Like I said, why would I be biased if I want
but
to soil my record?
if they don't win as a Colorado fan, fantastic. Is now that's just one good another good sign of saying we might win the Pac-12. So I'm okay if they lose, but I don't think they will. I think that they're
I
going to
really
remain.
hope it's Colorado versus Oregon, and Oregon just blows them
If
out.
they do that, we're going to live stream that. I'm just going to be in your face, just like talking so much shit.
Oh yeah, we gotta like someone's gotta die.
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah. But anyway, I think that Stanford is the real deal. And I think that every week they keep exceeding my expectations. My expectations for them this week is to win the game and have a very good offensive play and decent defensive play. I think that they might exceed that as well. The two upsets, though, to stop digressing, I'm sorry about that. But the two
No, it's fine.
upsets this week, Kentucky will beat Mississippi State. Kentucky's defense,
I don't know.
their defense is crazy good. Mississippi State's good. I'm not going to downplay Mississippi State, but Kentucky is a very good team. And like I said before, the SEC is just so insanely stacked that not every single win's guaranteed, and you can have a lot of upsets like that. And Kentucky's going to be one of them. Kentucky will beat Mississippi State. Josh Allen's going to have another monster of a game, and Kentucky's going to have another insanely impressive win, like they did
Yeah.
against. And I'm blanking right now. Who did they beat for the first time in like 20 years or 30 years?
Florida.
That's right. They beat Florida for the first time in a very long time. That was one of their first of the many impressive wins they'll have this season. They're going to play well. They're going to beat Mississippi State. Period. Iowa will beat Wisconsin this week. Iowa is a very slept-on team. They're like the 26th best team in the nation right now. Obviously, Wisconsin has proven after last week that they can be beaten by a team who is on the border of being a ranked team like BYU was. If Iowa plays smart football and plays how they've been the last 3 weeks, especially how they played against Iowa State, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to beat Wisconsin. I think Iowa will get that dub.
Nah, I disagree with that last one only because it's going to be the battle of the defenses. Both their offenses are terrible, and the defense that I see better is Wisconsin. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I give it to
It is in Iowa,
Wisconsin.
though. It is in Iowa.
I don't know. I give it to Wisconsin 2013.
I think the Hawkeyes want the win more. I think that Wisconsin might be a little shook after last week. I think they kind of realize that like they've been exposed now. I think that Iowa just really, really wants this win bad. They want to prove to the nation that they're not back because obviously they were almost a college football playoff team a few years ago. But I think that they are definitely on the right path to be back to being like a top 15 team, and they're going to prove it this week, being Wisconsin. And Wisconsin might even drop from the rankings, and you might have Iowa get into the top 25 for sure if they do get this win, and I think they will.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else for the show this week?
I think that's it.
Nice, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. We probably went on for a very long time. I don't have like any kind of stopwatch or any kind of counter in front of me. I'm sorry if it was too much of a rant for everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for checking out the first episode of the
Actually,
Tailgate.
I want to tell him one more thing.
All right. Oh no. Jesus.
Willie the Snake Taggart. And also, you want to know UCLA's problem?
What is it? Oh no.
You can't have Wilson State, the transfer from Michigan, leading that offense when he doesn't belong in that offense. That's the problem. Put in another quarterback.
I didn't find a way to set you up for that. Whenever I mention UCLA and Chip Kelly, the first thing out of your mouth was just that kind of rant about the offense.
No, I love.
I realized I didn't put you up for that. I didn't set you up at all. True. All right. I'm not surprised. Like we said UCLA for some reason it clicked, but it took a second, and I was like, oh no, I know this could be about right away. But anyway, and I'm sure you're gonna rant about that like every week until they actually do something right on offense. But anyway, thank you everyone watching the Tailgate episode 1 from Tailgate Sports, brought to you by True Energy, your new favorite energy shot drink. DrinkTrue.com.
Dark,
You can find out more
dark
about it
Jordan.
on TailgateSportsEntertainment.com. Thank you so much to True Energy for sponsoring us. Thank you everyone who watched this.
Let's
Skull Buffs.
go.
Rest in peace,
Yeah,
Chip the
but
Buffalo. Very sorry about what happened with the t-shirt cannon, but I heard he's okay. Let's go, Colorado.
nah.
Oregon's decent, I
I think
guess.
he's a game
BC,
time
I guess, is
decision
okay.
next week.
We'll see. We might have to call him. There are other mascots for Colorado, like they have his wife and they have his kids. We might have to call the second string Chip, and see what happens. So,
Yeah, they're gonna have to bring his kids in.
yeah, exactly. Bring in like little Chip Jr. as a second string and be like, all right, bud, Dad's went out with a pretty serious injury, so you have to be filling some big shoes, both like literally and metaphorically. But anyway, regardless, we have the bye week, so he's got some time to recover, and then next week UCLA. Hopefully things go well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for
Oh,
watching. Thank you, True Energy. Thank you, Tailgate Sports fans. It's always Tailgate season. This has been episode 1.